All right, folks, we're back. Got JJ the jet plane from TAFT Hobby. Hold on, let me check something real quick. Make sure we are filming. Yes, we are. Okay. Got JJ the jet plane from TAFT Hobby all put together. Now, I did have some issues. A pro about her is that she goes together really well. The instructions are less than worthless. They just show you a picture. Here's your plane parts, put it together. Not a big help. Shows you a list of screws. Doesn't tell you which one to use, but it doesn't take much to figure out. You're going to get 4 short, flat, with a flat washer screw, and then 2 on either side of the vertical stabilizer or rudder. Then you're going to have 6 of the longer screw. They're about 1 inch long. 2 on either side of the wing, and then 2. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 up there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 hold up the screw into the top of the elevator. Okay. Now, this model here, when I extended the front nose gear, the front nose gear just kind of had a lot of slop and flop into it. Okay. Little grub screw was loose, tightened it up, rock solid. The landing gear on this side, I taxied around the driveway, and that landing gear just fell right out of its housing. There's like they put just a spot of glue. Well, nothing broke, nothing wrong. Glued it back in, right as rain. The channels that the wires went through, they'd fallen out of the channels, so I pressed them back in the channel and lined it with glue. Still, something that gives way over time. This model is several years old. It's probably been sitting in a box for years, and the glue has decayed and gotten bad. But this is why you go through it. Now, interesting thing about this model is, like a lot of these newer EDFs, this is an old EDF. Look at that bottom, clean bottom. No cheaters on the side, no cheaters on the bottom. Only 2 really big inlets. Okay, now, hold on, very powerful. I don't dare get her going on in here. As you can see, I had her on my balancing table. She balances perfectly at 20 millimeters. According to the instructions, the factory CG is pretty much spot on, which is, you'll see these plastic doublers here, about a 1/4 inch in. See, I got these black marks right about there. The plastic here, put your finger there, and that's where she balances. This retract, like I said, just fell right out. I'm just driving along and just fell right out. So I had to, and I just put some good contacts, strong contacts, layered it in there, and just anchored her down. And it's fine now. It was just a factory problem. Sequenced doors as far as the front. See, look at that. Okay. And then once I glued the wires on this one, the wires had fallen out of the channel and made that retract hang up. This one fell out. So I glued everything back down, put some packing tape back down over it, and that's nice and solid. Watch these gears go back in. Okay, so there's a delay. Okay, and watch that door. Okay, all right. Now, as far as when I did the unboxing, you notice that the EDF cover, well, over time, this EDF cover is meant to come off, all right? Well, the foam itself was kind of warped and didn't quite fit in there nice and tight, and I'm afraid it was going to cause too much drag and vibrate. So I went in there and made sure the screws were okay. I anchored them back down. Put a little bit of contact cement on where the EDF, where the cover meets the fuselage. And then I put packing tape, or I can always cut that out and unscrew it and service my EDF if I need to. This way I got a nice clean airflow, won't have any problem. That's just something that happens over time. Don't just think, oh, well, it's a crappy model. Oh, I forgot the name of the company. RC Wings, isn't it? What did we say? I am so sorry, folks. Once again, I forgot the name of the company. Hold on. Let me try to hold the model and look at my Red Wing RC out of Lebanon, Illinois. Red Wing RC. Incredibly fast shipping. Immediately got confirmation within a few hours. Got a tracking number. You know, one gear door wants to hang up, but very clean assembly. Like a lot of the wings and stuff that line up. Get your one. You feed your tube through feed your wires through. They're all on a nice little quick connect. They all are all bundled together, nice and clean. Feed them through, and then you'll get one screw. We're on the other side here. Well, this is a big plane. This is a big jet. You'll put one screw in to kind of anchor it in, and then maybe put your abdomen or something against to kind of press against the wing to line this other screw up. Same thing on the other side. Nice and tight. Remember, if a model fits tightly together, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That is a good thing. I'm going to put the gear back down. Okay. So I'm impressed. It's like the features on this plane, and of course, you've got suspension. You got suspension all the way around. Okay. Now, this latch is a friction latch. It just pops right in. But, and tongue and groove in the back, but because the wind will be hitting it, it'll force it down. So I'm not too worried about that. If it really starts to be an issue, then I'll put a couple rare earth magnets in there to anchor that down even further. Now, I've put I have the Gen 2 Lemon RX receiver right there. And I got the antennas 90 degrees from each other. Now, the biggest problem, other than the glue coming out, which really wasn't that big of a deal, the wiring. You will need a Y for your rudder. And you'll need to plug your aileron directly into the circuit board here. Now, the only thing you're going to plug in, other than, hopefully you can see this, you got your two white leads that plug into your circuit board here, okay? And they're like your Motion RC ones, a lot of planes, quick connects. You're going to take your one aileron lead, which is this one here, your one elevator, and you're going to plug it with a white wire forward. The polarity on these is the white is forward towards the nose, or the signal wire. Black is towards the tail. This wire here, I really don't know what it is. I don't know what it feeds, but it was already plugged in. I left it alone. Everything else comes through those quick connects and feed in through the board. And then you have these other 4 wires that came out the side here. Those 4 wires, along with your rudder on a Y that goes directly to your receiver. Everything else plugs into your receiver. And channel 6 was my flaps. Channel 5 was my gear. But the throttle, oh yes, and the throttle goes directly to your receiver too. And that's in the back, and it's got that capacitor on it, little ring on there that helps with the signal. It's got that on there, and also has a BEC. That feeds through the circuit board. So I shouldn't have any problem with over signals or anything like that. And but the wiring, it took me, I'm not gonna lie, it took me probably a good hour and a half to figure out this wiring. Now, there's a website I'll put it's RC Informer. It's his setup guide for his TAFT hobby, his TAFT Valkyrie 90mm. What he did is he put his rudder on 2 separate channels and put it in there. I just put them on a Y lead. I had to supply my own Y lead, and I put them directly into the receiver. The elevator, I use the circuit board, the quick connects from the wings, which controls the flaps, the ailerons, and the gear are through your quick connects that come through your wings, and they're obvious how they go. They only plug in one way. You can't mess them up. A 5000 Spektrum, which is a lighter 5000. It's CG, well, you saw me how I had it balanced right off the bat. Even with this bulkhead here is where the start of your 5000, just barely underneath that lip and backwards of 5000 fits. So if I had a heavier 5000, I would go back just a touch. And you've got plenty of battery room and space to do that with. Another nice thing about this model is look at how wide the gear is. Okay, look at how wide it is on those wings. Okay, that's going to mean great stability when you're taxiing. It's also going to make it more stable when she lands. So that's a good thing. All right. Trying to keep my messy table from messing up. I know I'm going to leave a bunch of stuff out, but from that point, I'd put the battery back a little bit further. The bigger, heavier the battery it is. 20 millimeters back from the leading root right here back is your CG. Does seem to CG pretty good right there. Okay, rates. Now, rates and everything, you know, it doesn't give you any indication in the book. There's like nothing, okay? I mean, 4 pages. You get a picture. And it's the picture of the yellow one. All right? You get your parts laid out, and then the dimensions of the plane. It is a 1,287 millimeters or 1.2 meters wide. So what's that, about 50 inches? And then you get, this is the assembly of the plane. Picture of it, with the wings not attached, showing you obviously how the tail goes on. And then the only thing you have to glue are the winglets, and they glue and remember if you're going, and it's just foam to foam. So remember when you glue foam to foam, score the bottom, score up the surfaces where they're going to be touching, and then put a good contact cement, let it touch, pull it off for about 30 seconds, get those spider strings, and then put them back down, and then she's good to go, leave it alone. CG is 20 millimeters back from the linear root right here at this hard plastic. But they really, and then they just have a pre-flight checklist. I mean, it's very, very rinky-dink. No instructions on how those screws are. So the 4 short flat screws are what hold in your entire tail assembly. 2 of the longer screws go in through this decal, and then there's a little hole through the decal to hold in the elevator, and then 2 on either side of the same long screws hold in the wing. And that's pretty much it. Now my rates for me, and like I said, this is going to be determined in the field because the instructions tell me nothing about what the suggested rates are. But remember with jets, the faster something flies, the less movement you want with your control surfaces. If it flies real fast and you have real distinct movement, well, then you're going to have an out of control plane. So my low rates on this, let me go ahead and just turn the airplane around to where you can see the control surfaces. Okay. All right. Maybe. Look at the elevator. This is my high rate, which is 70% over 15% expo. I usually like 10 or 15% expo on jets. My mid rate is 60%, 15% expo. All my expo is 15%. And my low rate on that elevator is 40%. Now, look at my ailerons. This is low rate for ailerons. I just lied to you. I'm on ailerons. Back up, ailerons. This is low rate ailerons, 40%, 15% expo. Mid, 60%, 15% expo. High, 70, 15% expo. All right, elevator, a little bit different. High rate is 90, mid rate 80, low rate 70. Okay, and last but not least, rudder. Low rate 80%. Okay, and the front rudder works perfectly, already reversed. Mid rate 90, high rate 100. There again, 15% expo all the way around. Now, everything was pretty well trimmed. I had to trim the ailerons just a little bit, and I had to go in there and put a negative throw on the flaps to raise them up nice and flush. You do that through your travels. That is my takeoff flaps. I'm going to have no elevator to flap mix until I fly her because there's no instructions. And that's landing. Okay, now to go to my flaps to show you what I just give you the numbers. This is for a Spektrum radio. Your Futaba, your Fursky, or whatever else, it may be different, but for Spektrum, flaps all the way up are going to be a negative 100%. You see they're pretty flush. Takeoff are a negative 50, and then landing a negative 10. Now I may play with that. I'll on 2-second deployment, and I may play with that a little bit. I won't know until I fly her. More than likely, we'll start with low rates and then go from there. They recommend a 5000 6S as your default battery, and with just a 30C. These tires are a hard rubber, but you do have the suspension. Nice wide stance, so landing should be nice and stable. I like the fact there's no cheaters. I think that's neat. The foam, if you've ever had a Dynam plane, don't look at this Dynam behind me. Dynam foam is very soft, but it's very easy for taking. It bounces back really easy for dents and things. Whereas foam from E-flite and FMS is very, very strong, but once it gets a ding, it gets a ding. It's hard. It doesn't recover as well. So, you know, this foam in this plane feels like a combination between the two. The fuselage kind of feels like a Dynam foam, but yet still it has the smoothness and the strength of an E-flite foam. So it's all EPO foam. It's all on how their mixture is and how they put it together. The fuse is painted at the factory. Everything else, all the white foam just has the decals on it. So we're going to see. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have some up elevator trim because that doesn't look very even, but that's okay. I can always do there some sub trim taken out. I do like the fact that the afterburner cone back here, the exhaust port, is a hard chrome plastic, and it's really nice and shiny. It's going to help with orientation, and the coloration of this, the color scheme is good, and she looks like she's going to be very stable. I think she's going to fly a lot like a Viper jet. And we all know that with a Viper jet, you can land with a little bit more speed than you normally would, like say you would with a Warbird, because you'll tip a wing pretty quick. So I'm going to bring her in fairly hot, but I think if I get my flaps all the way down, I think I'll be all right. And we'll hopefully get a maiden soon if the work, weather, and other obligations allow. Thank you for watching, folks. This is JJ the Jet Plane, my Taft hobby of Valkyrie 90mm, and I did go with the second generation Lemon RX, the newer, with my antennas or aerials being 90 degrees from each other. The only true defect with the plane was the EDF cover is warped and doesn't quite fit in there nice and tight. The glue coming loose, that's going to happen. That can happen in a $1,000 E-flite plane. It sits in a box for too long, it's going to happen. So, all right, folks, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless y'all. And don't forget, faith, family, and friends, the Jets. Bye-bye. Gotta walk over to the phone or turn it off. because we're filming on the phone.